Welcome, everyone. Today, my guest is Michele Sammut, who is coming to us from Australia. And to give you a brief overview of Michele, for those of you who don't know her, so Michele is an Ascension guide and light language quantum healer. She is also the creatrix of the Sovereign Soul Ascension Mentoring Program. So Michele supports beautiful souls to peel back the layers of their trauma programming in order to reconnect to the truth of who they truly are. Using a combination of spiritual mentoring and energy clearing transmissions, she supports her clients to raise their frequency and their consciousness level so they are able to move out of a victim state and return to their empowered soul sovereignty, fully connected to their higher self. And with that, I would just start by saying thank you and welcome, Michele.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you for having me. It's lovely to be
here. It's my pleasure. Let's get right into it. And before we start, I'm going to just give everyone again a brief overview. The purpose of this series, which is called The Secret Life of Crystal Healing Wands, is to share with folks crystal healing wands and how individuals utilize them in their personal healing journey and also in their professional healing practice. And Michele, again, has graciously allowed me to interview her today, and I'm really excited to hear how she answers some of these questions. So with that said, let's get started. So, Michele, if you could share with me, were you aware of wands in general prior to purchasing one?
You know, there was one man that I knew of in Australia that that was making crystal wands. They are significantly different to yours, which is a blessing because, you know, you guys have got your unique styles. And he's up in the state I live is Queensland. He's up in the rainforest in Cairns, like, you know, really up in living as a kind of a shaman. And I know but I never really looked into it. I just knew of him through a mutual healer friend. Mm-hmm. And I thought that's a lovely thing that he does. And that's kind of all that I really thought about
it. What led you decide to acquire a crystal healing wand for yourself?
Yes. Well, see, I wasn't too connected to crystals. It was one, I think, modality or healing that had eluded me a little bit. And I remember, because, you know, you and I, we know some of the same people. And when I was living in a different state, I was living down south in Victoria, much different climate. And I remember Renee, who's a dear friend of mine, she put out a video and she mentioned one of your ones. It was beautiful. But once again, I didn't think much more of it. And then I shifted. I moved from a cold climate where I was very unhappy. I've been meaning to move for a long time, to a northern climate, which in Australia, northern is hotter and much more subtropical temperate climate. And it was really strange because as soon as I got there, I looked you up and I was like, I'm going to buy a wand from Keith. And with all of my strictly intuitive decisions, there's never much, you know, premeditated thought. You know, it's just I'm doing this now. Okay, that's what I'm guided to do. And so it was really about a week of me being there. And when I looked on I think I contacted you and you said, go and have a look at some of the wands on my page. And I picked one, which was a Lemurian wand. Mm-hmm. And I think you had already made that one for someone and you wanted it to be different for each person. So you tweaked it, you sort of tuned in and you did some changes of it for me. But it's still ultimately, I've got this beautiful baby here. It's always with me. A Lemurian wand. So, and then you posted it to me and it has been pivotal. It's been by my side ever since.
Okay. Say more about that. In what way is it by your side all the time?
Well, initially, like I said to you, I had a few crystals, but I didn't have that many crystals and I didn't feel that confident at tuning myself to crystals. So this was a big first kind of purchase in terms of, okay, if I'm going to attune to crystals, I'm going to attune to a crystal wand. So originally I started using it for my own healing. I journeyed with it. You know, it was next to me when I was sleeping. It was a profound support for me to start to attune to crystals. So I found myself quite connected to the Lemurian sea, the quartz in it. And I did have I was in a meditation, and I had I guess it was like a past life, a multidimensional lifetime recollection of myself on a Lemurian timeline as a healer in that multidimensional space. So, and in that recollection, I was a healer that used dance and movement to heal. And I used to also travel around to different villages and deliver fruit to, I think, the poor. And so I also had this very community kind of service oriented role, which is also very fitting. That's who I am now. You know, I'm a social worker and a healer, and community equity and serviceability is very important to me. So it was like this really beautiful parallel came in. And then I started to really feel and take note of other crystals. And I started to buy more crystals, and now I'm surrounded by crystals. And then she guided me, I say she because it feels like a she, it's connected to me, to start using it in my healings with others. And so I use her in every single healing that I do. So group healings and individual healings. When you asked me if I'd do the interview, I was like, yeah, I want to talk about my wand.
So
yeah.
You say you use it in your healing practice in groups and individual. Could you share a little bit of what that might look like?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I didn't always do group healing. I started off doing individual. And for me, it was just, I would put her within a grid within my room. She usually would be the focal point. And I would just use the wand to stabilize my own energy. Then when I went into group healing, I found that it was much harder to hold the energy of a group container. So she's pivotal to stabilize my frequency, because obviously in a group container, there's a lot of energy. So she's a stabilizer for me. It's like, it's a kind of grounding energy that I get from her. Originally, I used to have to hold her to get that. Now she just needs to be there. Like, it's that much of an attachment and a connection. So yeah, that's the main thing. There's been some higher self connections with obviously my clients, and I believe that whenever they have a Lemurian part of their multidimensionality, I get shown that through this wand, because that's the connection of this wand. But I also get other connections for my clients as well. But she's just pivotal. Like, I feel like if I didn't have her in the room when I was doing a healing, it wouldn't, not that I'm reliant that it needs to, but I would feel the difference in the energy of the room. So she's like my right-hand man. And that she has helped me with. Okay, so since having this wand, it's been a long journey, but obviously stabilizing my energy has been one part of it. But I started to bring in light codes. So it's just been a very deep connection to my Lemurian roots. That's what she's brought to me. And obviously that there was a guidance there that I wanted that particular wand, even though I didn't know much about those roots. There was enough of that connection for me to choose her. I wanted to tap into that a little bit more. And I have.
Can you describe what you would consider the most interesting experience you've had with the wand?
Yeah, well, I think it was the recollection. I saw, like, I could see through my third eye myself in a Lemurian timeline. So I think having that recollection and reconnection with that was the most profound, interesting experience. It also helped me understand why I've always been drawn to this climate and wanted to move into this kind of climate, which along the Pacific coast, more subtropical, where I've always felt comfortable, like I needed to be within this kind of environment. It helped me reconnect that. But yeah, definitely that it was like I've had past life memories of on 3-dimensional Earth, But this was like a past life memory of a 5D Lemurian timeline. And it was exactly the same. It came through in my third eye while I was journeying with her.
Very good. How do people respond to the wand being used? Like if you're doing it in a healing session with a group or individual, how do people respond to it?
Well, I mean, most people know they've either seen her. I think people are so deep in their own stuff with it when they're healing that they haven't made any particular comments. But definitely nobody's ever said, "What are you doing with that wand? Stop pointing that wand at me." You know, nobody said that. And in fact, I look forward to people seeing this video and actually understanding that how much she has had a profound impact on my gifts and what I actually bring through now, because the energy comes through me, but she helps ground it, because sometimes I can go really under when I'm in a group container, which is good. I need to bring that energy through, but she helps keep me like stable. So I kind of am aware of where I am. That's how I feel. She really helps me. And she's powerful when I can start to draw light codes with her. Like even if I am doing that in my own field, I can feel that. You know, that's how much I've kind of attuned to this wand. Yeah, it becomes a really good friend if
Wow.
you use it enough. You've got to be, you know, if you just have it in the corner of the room and you don't do anything with it, nothing's going to happen. But if you consciously go in and make an effort to go and connect with the wand, as I did, you gave me some instructions when you sent me the wand of what to do, and I followed those, and it worked out really well.
Excellent. All right. But if there's any final thoughts or guidance or anything you might want to share with people who will be watching this video.
Well, yeah, I'm a chatterbox. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think, you know, just if anybody is intuitively drawn to the wand, there's a reason for it. And I would say follow that intuition, but use it when you get it. It's not just a beautiful ornament that you can put. I mean, it is that. It is. They're beautiful, but they're effective. So make sure you go through the process of meditating, sleeping, whatever you're guided. Keith will give you instructions on what to do to start that journeying process. But yeah, if you feel the call, there's a reason.
All right, Michele, thank you very much. I really appreciate you sharing your story, your journey. It's been very informative. I will, of course, put your information at the end of this video. So if people are interested in contacting you, they can do so.